hang Rikki over the bridge.
So if you didn't do those things, why weren't you a great mother? Because if you didn't do any of those things, that sounds like fairly good parenting to me.
Yeah.
When you read through, and I've read through a bit, and only one or two, social services criticise Ruth for making Rikki stand in the corner for 10 minutes with his hands on his head because he'd been naughty. That's Rikki in his own home, in his room, being told by his mother. 20 years ago, if you were in school 20 years ago, you could have been given the cane by the headmaster, and that was fine. That wasn't anything wrong with it.
But I think social services criticise quite a lot more. No?
No.
I think
If all the abuse was there, why did the files, a day after Rikki died, went missing? Did they just spread legs and walk out the office?
how can all these files disappear completely out of a building?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
But-
called the Bridge Report. But what?
But maybe social services are
Oh, what?
in the wrong because they didn't act sooner to
No.
save Rikki and take him off.
No.
But you can look at it the other way.
And
You can look at it the other way just as easily.
Oh, it's funny.
There was nothing wrong with Ruth's
Rikki,
family, there was nothing wrong with the children, and social services thought, Christ, we're right in it now. And I think we'll find out.
Now listen to me, right? I
Police
don't put
no,
my
the
kids.
police aren't covering nothing up. Police didn't do their job properly.
All right, okay. So the police didn't do their job properly and social services are doing the cover-up.
Social services cover their own arse is good.
Right.
I think you did tell us the police were covering this up.
Did, you have.
I mean, you know, it'll be on the tape, and that's what you said. But this is a high-level, large-scale police cover-up.
From 20 years ago.
This is from 20 years ago.
They covered their mistakes. Why would the lead investigator say, we made mistakes?
Because I doubt if any police investigation is perfect. You know, mistakes are made, but that doesn't mean that the police will say, and as a result, the entire thing is worthless. That's not the same thing at all.
So how can evidence appear? How can evidence appear in a house that's securely locked up? That nobody goes in apart from the police. How can evidence
But
appear?
that is post-Rikki's death, isn't it? You know, mistakes made. A book has appeared. Somebody has put it there. Yes, but how crucial is that?
Because
who
that book
killed Rikki?
That book was used in court because there was a chapter in that book about how to kill an innocent young child and sacrifice it. But funnily enough, the police never bothered fingerprinting it or checking it for any evidence.
So you're saying the police planted evidence?
I'm saying I have a police photograph and a statement that says the books were removed on the 23rd of December, and the photograph clearly shows a table in the lounge with no book on.
So you understand why we're picking away at this, because these are very serious allegations that you're making about the police.
Well, the police made very serious allegations about me.
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did, and they haven't proved any of it.
You've admitted it.
I've admitted to neglect and cruelty because I had no choice.
It's also interesting where a member of the
So can we
media...
go back to the question that was asked a little while ago? When Ruth said, you said yourself, you're guilty of not being a good great mother or
No,
good mother.
I am guilty of not being a great mother.
So we're pointing out that the police did this wrong, we're pointing out that social care did this wrong, we're pointing out that the press has done this wrong. Can you point out what you've done wrong?
I know what I've
Or
done
is
wrong,
this
not being a
everyone
great
else?
mother.
In what way?
What do you mean in what way?
So if I was being not a good mother, I would probably be smacking my kids, not feeding my kids, not bothering to walk my kids to school at 6 years old, doing drugs. In what ways were you not a good mother?
Taking drugs.
And did that taking drugs ever have any impact on the children?
No.
So, despite taking
So it's
drugs, you
irrelevant.
were quite good mother.
Pardon?
Despite taking drugs, you were still quite a good mother.
No.
Well, why not?
Ruth says to me nearly every day, she was a bad mother. Because she should have got up after being... Now listen, she says to me, and I believe her. I believed her from day one on all of this. And I've seen the evidence, so I know that Ruth is telling the truth. And she says to me, she was a bad mother because after being kept up most of the night by a 6-year-old baby, being absolutely wrecked out of her head and totally tired out of her head and could hardly move because she was so tired, that she didn't run after Rikki. But then again, if she'd run after Rikki, who would look after the 6-year-old baby, the 6-month-old baby?
Did you ever have cause to smack Rikki at all?
Did I what?
Ever have cause to smack Rikki at all?
Yes, I have.
What reasons? Were you
Well,
having
when
trouble?
kids are naughty, I smacked them.
So he would have been smacked?
Smacked across the bum, yeah.
Yeah.
Or tap on the hand.
Gave him do anything more than
No, I did not do anything more.
I mean, Michelle, when I spoke to her, said she could recall her sister.
Yeah,
being
really?
Pulled down the stairs. by her
Really?
hair.
Oh,
Would you
right.
ever done anything like that?
Yeah, yeah.
So is she
not
not a
true.
liar then?
Yes, she is,
Yes,
because she's been
because
brought up to
I've read the
believe lies.
hang on, I've read the statement by the woman who gave a statement to the police about that. And she says, I see her pull her daughter down the stairs by her hair and then pick her up and throw her onto the settee in the front room. Yep, sounds good.
That's
Look at
not
the
good.
floor plan of Ruth's house. To see a child being pulled down the stairs, you have to stand at one door at one end of the house.
I'm talking about what the
Or you
doctor
can
has
move.
said, not what...
You'd have to walk right the way round another house. and
My
come back to the
daughters have been
other side.
brainwashed from the word go.
But it still comes down to the fact, why did the police believe people that were lying? They were interfering with a murder inquiry into a 6-year-old child. Why? Simple question. Why take a statement and 24 hours later take a second statement and not question why they are so completely different? I've read these statements. They're two statements. And if you didn't see the name on the top, you would say that they are by two completely different people that don't even know each other.
Do you understand why the public struggles to do this?
Yes,
Because
I
they
can,
haven't seen these
because I haven't
files.
seen the files.
Do you think your actions helped?
I'm very angry, yes. For 20 years I've been called a murderer, which I'm not.
Also, was dubbed the most evil mother in Britain.
Yeah, which I wasn't.
Must
No.
have really hurt.
No,
No.
it
Ruth,
doesn't hurt because it
Ruth.
isn't true.
No.
excuse me, Ruth, who brainwashed your children?
Who brainwashed the
Yeah,
children?
who
What
brainwashed?
do you mean who?
You said that your children were brainwashed.
Yes, they were.
Who by?
By certain people.
Why were they brainwashed?
Because the whole
Because they
public
needed
and the
somebody to
media,
blame for
they've
Ricky's
got,
murder.
somebody's got to be blamed for
Ruth
Ricky's
was
murder,
using
and I'm the
softest option.
softest option.
And
So
the files
everything's
bear
my
that
fault.
out.
Yeah, you can see it in the files.
So your children were pressurised to blaming you?
No, I just think that, like Ricky's elder sibling, she's got it in her head that I'm this, that and the other, so she goes and turns around and tells the other two. You know, it does work through the family, you know.
Why did she get it?
Ruth's oldest daughter, up until about a month ago, was still saying, and posting on Facebook, a hashtag, Ruth killed Ricky.
So why did she get it?
Up until a month
I
ago.
don't
Presumably
know.
presumably she's got...
She has, I've offered her to come
presumably
and
she's
visit.
old
We've,
enough to
we've,
remember
we've
her own
offered
childhood.
all sorts to her to look at the files and she won't take it up.
But she's old enough to remember her own childhood, isn't she?
Pardon?
She's old enough to remember her own childhood, isn't
No,
she?
not really.
I've asked her
I've
questions.
I've
No.
asked her loads of questions
No.
and she doesn't remember a lot of it.
I've got statements. I've asked her questions out of the statement she made when she was that age, 20 years ago.
And she can't remember.
And she can't remember.
She may not be able to remember lots of details.
Well,
But I'm
I
pretty
think
sure
that
she
saying
can
in the
remember her day-to-day
paper
life.
in 2004 that cardboard at the windows is rather silly. Do you know what I'm saying? Cardboard at the windows.
It's the same as locks on the door.
Yeah, padlocks
There's
on
no
the
evidence
doors.
of it. It still doesn't come away from the fact that the police had statements.
Well, what it comes
From
down to,
individuals
what it
that
comes
lie.
down to is credibility. And if your own daughter, who can remember events around that time, doesn't believe you, why should anybody else?
Because the evidence.
Evidence is there. Simple
The
as.
press was spun out good 20 years ago.
By the police.
By the same police. A member of the media 20 years ago. And I've been accused of putting her out in the dry now, hanging her out in the dry, because she told me in confidence. She was blackmailed by a police officer. She was tipped off as to Ruth's arrest. And she was also allowed to go in Ruth's house while the police went.
But she was blackmailed.
That's what she says.
Who says that?
I'm not going to give them. The police are aware of it. The
Police
police have been
are aware
told.
of it.
They are investigating it.
But what do they blackmail her with? I mean, I think I know this reporter, and I'm curious to know what they had on her to be able to blackmail her.
I don't know why they blackmailed her. She hasn't told me why. But she has said she was blackmailed by a police officer 20 years ago.
Blackmailed into doing what?
I don't know.
She won't say.
I think it was not going into court, wasn't it?
So she won't say how she was blackmailed, she won't say what she was blackmailed
No.
into.
No?
but she was also tipped off by the police about Ruth's arrest. So they were forewarned. You know, everybody kicks up a fuss about Cliff Richards and them going to his house. Big fuss about the media being tipped off then.
I think only Cliff Richards was making a fuss about that, to be fair.